Apart from the Gunnar thumbnail, yes, I drew that. An hour of my life was spent drawing 2B's feet. And you probably click on this video just because of that. This is a completely serious talk about legs. Are legs important in games? Well, no, but yeah they are. It's like they say, you can't have feet without legs. No one says that. But seriously, this is such a minute detail that whenever a game has, I can appreciate. In some games, it's almost a necessity. But at this point, being able to see your legs is almost a must-have. Holy shit, does it somehow change the way you play? Feel? I don't know, it's hard to describe what legs adds to a game. But I mean, imagine in real life looking down and not seeing your legs, yet being standing up. It'd be weird, no? Well, that's how it feels now after having games where you can see your feet. Because legs, by the way, I'm gonna keep switching between feet and leg, but I mean the same shit, okay? Just the bottom half of your body. Because legs are so nice to have that when it's gone, you want them back. Legs are a luxury, only the best of the best games have them. But is there even a correlation between legs and good games? Yes, in some games it's a must-have. You could play Dying Light without seeing your legs, but having legs in that game adds depth perception. Even Mirror's Edge knew this. Let me explain why I'm making such a big deal about legs in game. Back before I even cared about this, I found seeing my legs to be weird. I remember the first time I even acknowledged the presence of such entities in game. It was in Dead Island 1. Yes, I know there was games that did it before. I remember seeing the trailer and seeing a first person kick. I was like, holy shit. You can kick in this game? I know it's silly, but to me it was like they finally figured out a whole other dimension. Now it wasn't just the upper half of your body you played as. It was now a full actual body. Before it was just like you were a floating head and a floating pair of hands. Having legs made it so there was so much more room for creativity. Imagine of all the leg activities you can now do. Okay, that was an exaggeration, but at the time it felt like it sort of added some depth to the gameplay. More importantly, the animations. Seeing your actual in-game legs touch the ground is something you don't normally care about, and you probably go through the whole game without even thinking of just how much it adds to the game. Well, apart from the immersion of just seeing your legs on the floor. Alright, I'm gonna get a bit analytical here. Get it? Anal? That's not even a leg joke. Let's take for example COD. In previous COD entries, legs weren't a thing. Because why would they bother? All you need is a gun to play, so you usually hold guns with your hands, not legs. So all you need is just the upper half of your body. Now in the current CODs, I think it started with Ghost, but I didn't notice this until like BO3. You finally were able to see your legs. That's because your character became more mobile. They added leaning and sliding. It's really hard to understand why games add legs to their games. I mean, it feels sometimes devs just add them for no reason other than immersion. In here, I guess it would be because sliding without seeing your legs would be a bit weird. Like, how would I know if I'm sliding or running? It might be a bit confusing, so just having the visual of your legs sliding, it literally tells you your character is sliding. So they added them, and there are a few games that just have legs, and that's about it. They just there. Makes you wonder if the creators went, oh shit, we forgot the legs, and just added them. No, but really, there's a few games that you'll play, see your legs, and they don't do anything. They don't affect the game at all. I mean, they kinda do. I already went over how seeing your legs in game can help you with depth perception. So there's that. And then there is for gameplay reasons. I think Battlefield or Bad Company had legs in them before Call of Duty did. And you can kinda see why. If you compare the movement in Bad Company to COD, you'll instantly realize how much more realistic the movement in Bad Company is. Your camera and gun wobble around a lot. It feels like your character actually has some weight. And adding legs to your character shows you the idea that you're part of that world as a physical object. But then if you skip to COD, it feels like your character is just a floating camera running around. And that's kind of the difference that adding legs really emphasizes. When you have legs in games, it's almost like it's telling you, you are a physical entity in the game world. Meaning you'll actually interact with physics objects and stuff like that. For example, you probably have noticed this in many games before, but have you ever walked up directly to a wall and maybe even crouch or went prone into it? And then you'll see that in most games your gun will actually shrink, and it looks really odd. And then in some other games, the game makes it so your character has a sorta put gun away animation when you're up close to the wall. Well, that's because in the game where your gun shrinks, the gun is basically just part of your HUD, like a sticker. In games where you do have the animation, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a physics entity, but at least it does sell the illusion that it's actually interacting with the world. And now imagine that, but like with legs. When you don't have legs, it kind of feels like your character is just a floating camera. Nobody touches the cameraman never dies. But when you add legs, you'll feel like an actual physics entity in the game. You'll somehow interact with the game world around you, Now this is definitely a thing where it's probably some sort of like Mandela effect or some shit. Maybe I'm just building up all this hype for legs in my head, but I swear it does. One of the first times I felt disappointed by no legs syndrome was in Left 4 Dead 2. To be honest, I didn't even realize Left 4 Dead 2 had no legs, and I didn't even realize Left 4 Dead 1 had legs, till somebody mentioned it in a video, and I was left dumbfounded by the lack of legs, too. So I got to thinking, what could have possibly been the reason legs were removed? Well, I don't think there is actually a specific reason why. Some say it's because Left 4 Dead 2 only had a 10-month development cycle, and others believe it has something to do with the way ragdolling works in the game. Basically, Left 4 Dead 1 had ragdolling for survivors when they died, but Left 4 Dead 2 doesn't. When you die in Left 4 Dead 1, your character would ragdoll, and that's how you know your character was dead for good. In Left 4 Dead 2, the ragdolling isn't really a thing for survivors, and some say it's because of the addition of the defibrillator. Having the character ragdoll after complete death would make the hitbox all yanky for the defibrillator to work. So just because now you're able to revive your teammates, which I guess is a good trade-off, no legs, life, they had to remove they had to remove ragdolling and legs. And what does ragdolling have to do with legs? I don't know, to be honest, I'm not really sure. But ragdolling makes the game more dynamic, and so does legs. I'll take ragdolling over dead animations any day. I'm sure there is some sort of correlation there, and this is a nitpick, also just the whole thing in general maybe. But I did actually notice that the tank wasn't hitting the same. I couldn't put my finger on it, or dare I say, my toe, but it was the lack of legs. In Left 4 Dead 1, when you get smacked across the map, you can see your legs go up. And that adds so much more to the impact of getting flung across the map. I can visibly see that I am indeed fucked. In Left 4 Dead 2, you kinda put your gun away slightly, but other than that, there is no impact to getting yeeted. It feels a lot less impactful this way. And just not seeing my legs going up from the impact almost makes me think that my character is just being pushed, like while standing up. No animation or anything. Again, this is definitely a thing where not everybody will feel it matters or even cares. But I mean, what the fuck do you expect from a video titled Legs? But come on, you can't deny. Seeing your legs fly up in the air after getting punched is so cool. That's so anime. All you need now is an unnecessary amount of impact frames. Now recently, a lot of modern games I have played did have legs. And the ones that didn't, it felt justified. For example, Cyberpunk has legs. And it makes complete sense. That game is all about trying to make you feel like you're part of that world. But then there are parts where having legs is a bit goofy. Fast-paced games like Doom shouldn't have legs, because you're basically flying in that game at 3,000 miles per hour. Seeing your legs would look stupid. So that takes me to what games should and shouldn't have legs. I think RPGs and immersive sims should have legs. I'm trying to get immersed into those worlds. I want to feel like I'm an actual physics object or entity in that game. A good RPG usually has multiple ways an enemy can be taken down / interact with the world. If I see that my character has legs, I'm going to assume that however and whatever I kill an NPC with, it can also be done to me. Or whatever the NPC interacts with in the game world, I too can do that. Basically anything that is physics related that an NPC can do, it will be the same for me. I remember being super excited for Starfield, and I heard that it had the Fallout 4 engine, and I'm not a huge fan of that engine. I feel like it's too floaty, and I don't know, it's just gross to me. But I did hear that it was tweaked and improved, so I was actually willing to give it a try. And it wasn't until like the day it came out, for some reason, that my mind just went, it better have legs. Spoilers, Starfield does not have legs. I remember being disappointed by this. Seriously, as soon as I was able to control my character, I looked down to check my feet and I was like, oh okay. Well, I'm sure it would be a good game anyways. I think the reason COD has legs now is because the engine is so improved on. But I think it's mainly so we have an idea of what others see in game. I bet you have died before in a corner thinking you were so safe and hidden, but then your legs or arms were sticking out, and so you feel like a total fucking dumbass. So I guess legs were added so that doesn't happen anymore. Now you can see your physical body in game. So yeah, not all games need legs, but I do like it when they have them. It for the most part does more good than it does bad. In fact, I don't even know what bad it does. But it wasn't until recently that I felt like I needed them in game. Before it would be like, oh okay, that's cool. Or I wouldn't even notice. But I have started to notice them more often than not. It almost feels like the developers are starting to see it as an improvement rather than a detail. And of course not every game needs them, so they don't add them to just any. But I'm glad we were able to see our legs more often than not. Some games could really use legs, however. Imagine if, I don't know, this is getting silly here. Nier, for example, had legs. Imagine if we had a dedicated show feet button. I think that would actually improve the gameplay a lot and make me a happy consumer of Platinum games. I think it would probably make me want to buy any piece of junk they release ever. I think maybe even buy DLC. I think just take my fucking wallet. Alright, this was a very subjective topic, and at first I felt like I had a point, but then I realized that not all games would work if you could see your legs. And then I realized I'm talking about legs. So this just turned into a discussion. Regardless, I hope you got what you came for. Bye bye.